Hello and welcome everybody to News Effect. This is a Flickr Effect podcast where each week we count down the top 10 news items from the world of film, TV, and pop culture. My name is David Ladd, and joining me is the usual crew, Bobby Jackson, Yasha Wilson, and Michelle Curry. How's it going, guys?
Hey.
Great.
Absolutely great.
Great.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Spectacular.
Well, you know, it's a great time to be alive, according to Michelle, because the Olympics are on. So
it is a
it's
spectacular time to be alive because the Olympics are on.
See?
I am an Olympic.
I wish I could be as
fiend.
excited about it as you are. Just don't care.
I devote my life to it's sad. It's pathetic in ways, but honestly, I love the Olympics. It owns me. It owns me for 2 weeks every 2 years. It does completely. I admit it.
That's cool.
It's sad, but yeah.
It's the most amount of TV Michelle will watch all year round.
No, it depends. I will say
it sounds like you're probably watching TV for a good 10 hours a day, other than when you're at work.
Pretty much. I mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
No, it is, and it is now that the Olympics are like this. You know, with Rio, we're in the same time zone. So when we're in other time zones, you kind of have to wait a little bit sometimes, or you don't want to hear I'm a purist, so I don't want to hear results. I used to hate that. When Beijing was going on, God, that was a nightmare for me. And so I could only watch it during certain times of day. So I was only watching maybe 4 or 5 hours of it. Well, it's live coverage from the sunrise until midnight right now. So yeah, I set my alarm. I woke up this morning. I actually woke up before the alarm went off. I was so excited to start watching Olympic coverage. So I watched Olympic coverage basically all day, almost all day today. I think there was literally 2 hours where I didn't watch it during the middle of the day and then during what we're recording right now. It's kind of sad. I've been watching it since 7 a.m. this morning.
I will say, by the way, she came over a little early today and was nice enough to cook dinner for me and my wife. And you had your iPad on the counter in the kitchen with rowing or whatever on, streaming on your iPad.
It was the 1 hour I missed this morning when I went to go buy groceries to make dinner.
Because we're cord cutters here, so I can get NBC over the antenna, and that's it. That's all I got.
Right. Well, that's all I have too.
So you've got it going with streaming on the iPad, doing your thing. Because even before you went in the kitchen, you were just watching it on the couch, on your iPad. I'm you can AirPlay it to the TV if you want, But yeah. Yeah, you were hardcore.
It's that I am a cord cutter as well. So for me to even have it on the iPad and also on my Roku at home, I have found different ways to get around that, and I will not even specify that, but I found ways around it, so now I can watch it through the app, and God bless it, I have it at my fingertips in any format as much as I want, and it is amazing.
Wow.
It is amazing. I was making dinner, and I was literally watching the hour I missed earlier this morning from when I went to go get the groceries to make the dinner with. So I was I missed that hour of rowing. I'm going to fast forward and get to that moment, and then I'm going to watch that hour. And that's literally what I did. And I realized how sad this is and how pathetic that is to most people in the world.
But it's not.
I love it. It's my life.
There's no reason to say it's pathetic. That's what you enjoy. Don't try to do the pathetic thing.
I'm an Olympic addict.
Hey, exactly.
I fully admit it. I do own it. I own it so bad. And I realize that to other people, they'd be like, wow, she needs a life. But 2 weeks out of every 2 years, this is what I do. I have it on a hidden screen on my computer at work. And I've done that for years. It's so bad.
All
right.
It's
so basically
bad.
us doing this podcast right now is cutting into your...
I'm surprised you're here.
You guys have no idea. I'm dying right now because this is it's a major evening, actually. There's serious shit happening right now. And I'm literally I keep going back and forth between our notes and what's happening live. And I'm mother of God, it's killing me. It's killing me right now. I have issues. I should go to therapy.
It's cool. You don't have issues.
Go to therapy with
it's your thing.
But yeah, the Olympics are happening right now, and that's amazing. So yeah, that's what's up in the real world.
But I'm sorry. Unfortunately for you, we're not talking about the Olympics today.
I know. I'm sorry.
We have other stuff to discuss.
I'm sorry.
I just nothing to apologize for.
No. There's more important things happening than the Olympics.
Well, we'll see. Let's get started, and we'll see about that.
Number 10.
All right, our number 10 item of the week. As we know, Spider-Man Homecoming is filming in Atlanta right now. It is interesting to note that there is a Twitter account called Atlanta Filming. That's not surprising considering how much stuff films there. But anyway, according to this Twitter account, they appear to have spotted Scarlett Johansson in the area. I don't know if it was on set. The tweet was simply, well, hi Scarlett, what you doing here? That has led a lot of people to wonder, will Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow appear in Spider-Man Homecoming? I mean, that's really all there is to report. Basically a Twitter account that she's there. She could just be visiting because she's in the Marvel Universe and she just wants to hang out, or she could be in the movie. That's a distinct possibility, but just throwing it out there that we might see Black Widow and Spider-Man.
I'd be cool with a quick cameo.
Sweet. That's sweet.
I mean, more Scarlet is never a bad thing.
Is that ever a bad thing?
It's never a bad thing. And I mean, I could see it because, she in a weird way was kind of like the backup recruiter in the second Iron Man film,
Right.
Like Coulson hadn't quite weaned him over to the whole thing. And so she was kind of like the backup. And I can kind of see that kind of happening, kind of like in a weird way, I could see it. I'm down with it, kind of her like coming
100%.
in, maybe like mentoring for a scene or something, kind of like, hey, look, this is how we run things here. So I realize you're like 15, but let's straighten up a little bit. I don't know. It could be interesting. I'm totally down. I'm with it.
Cool. Moving on.
Number 9.
EW Entertainment Weekly is reporting that Peter Block, a executive producer on the Saw franchise, has acquired the rights to Pumpkinhead and plans on shooting a reboot of the horror series starting in 2017. He doesn't have a director yet, but he's looking for one. So if you're a Pumpkinhead fan, you might be getting more.
Are you a Pumpkinhead fan, David?
I gotta say, as much as I'm a horror fan, I've never seen any of the
Me
Pumpkinhead movies.
either. So I'm very curious now.
But they're the kind of horror movies that I've always been interested in seeing. Like every time I see the imagery from them, I'm like, man, I gotta see those.
So what's kind of just not availability to see
I
at
don't
this
know.
point?
I just haven't seen
You'd
them.
have to look for it now. I'm sure it's not like you can go
Probably.
to a video store and just rent it in
Video
like the horror
store.
section.
You still think video stores are happening?
That's cute.
I love you, Joshua. You're so cute.
I said it's not like you can just go. I said you have to look for. You have to. You know what I'm saying?
I know
Janet.
what you're saying. I'm sorry. It was just adorable. I was like, it's so cute. Video store.
They live in Southern California. They actually probably have a couple still
might
out
still
there.
actually have them. Yeah, they might actually still have them.
There are far and in between. You can drive around, and it wasn't until like maybe 6 months to a year ago, I still saw Blockbuster.
Man.
No lie.
Wait,
Like
what?
no lie. There's a Blockbuster next to a Radio Shack, and I was just like, dude, this is awesome. And I
Did it
was
have like an
yeah.
S on the end, like Blockbusters? Like it was like for
We
pretend.
bought an old location and we just changed the name slightly so we could
Just
keep the old sign.
slightly.
That would be
I
awesome.
actually am interested in
I would
the,
totally run one of those.
I'm actually interested in the Pumpkinhead reboot. I remember watching that as a kid, and it's such a kind of classic, not super popular, but
Right.
pretty iconic character. Like, I mean, you remember seeing the posters and all that other stuff. I've only seen the first one, and I always remember thinking, oh, this is going to be stupid, this is going to be stupid, this is going to be stupid. And then I watched it, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like, it's really dark, and it's just a very classic, like, homage to, like, horror films, that you can, every cliche that you can think of is probably in it, but it was entertaining. Like, I remember it being good. Granted, that being said, it was like, I remember also being like 12, but if I watched it now, I'd probably like, this is lame, but I would probably sit through that.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch the originals, but because like I said, they've always been horror movies that I'm like, man, I got to see those. Like they have an iconic aspect to them and a B movie quality that I'm like, man, I'll dig that, but I just haven't seen them.
That's what I was looking for, B movie quality.
Yeah, I used to have like a
Everybody loves a
B
good-
movie horror night that I would do like at the house like once a month. I had a group of friends that would come over every month and we watch really shitty horror movies and they were amazing. And that was, I remember considering Pumpkin at one point, but we never got to it.
Like Trolls?
What's that?
Like Trolls?
Yes. Never watched that one, but yes, like
Oh,
that.
you haven't seen Trolls?
I haven't seen it.
Dude, you're so missing out. I have not seen Pumpkinhead, but I have seen Trolls, and you are missing a. Oh, that's a classic.
But there's a lot in that.
There's a
in
lot.
that genre to watch.
There's a lot in the B genre horror.
There's plenty of
section.
good shit. So
Man.
So
yeah, so they're thinking of bringing it back, huh? How about that?
They're thinking of bringing it back.
How about that?
Number 8.
So there was some news that a new film starring Wesley Snipes is currently, I guess, going into principal photography. It's called The Recall. It's a sci-fi horror action film. I'll explain the movie real quick and then get to what's a more interesting part of this. I'll say it tells the tale of 5 friends vacationing at a remote lake house, expecting nothing less than a good time. Unbeknownst to them, Earth is under an alien invasion and in the thralls of a mass abduction. Now, yeah, sure, it's interesting. Wesley Snipes is in that kind of movie, and like I just said, hey, I love movies like that. Sure, I'll watch this. But the interesting part of it is that it will be shot using the new Barco Escape 3-screen panoramic theatrical format, which fully surrounds audiences, and portions of the film will be shot in virtual reality. What the fuck does that mean?
That's a lot happening.
I mean, other than I guess theaters that have that 3-screen format available to them,
which are like 5 in the entire world.
How will virtual reality come into the way that this is distributed? Like, this is like a whole what the fuck? I'm really curious about this now.
How the hell are they pulling this off?
That's the funny thing about it. Like, I saw this news story and I sent it to everyone, and I was just like, I know they'll just see the headline of it and be like, a Wesley Snipes movie. Okay, well, Bobby's clearly crazy because he's sending us a story about
excited about Wesley Snipes.
I'll be honest, I totally didn't read that one at all.
Right.
I was like, meh, moving along.
But I was like, no, there's an actual nugget of cool information inside the story, which was about this whole way that it's being filmed. Because it's like, what is that? Like, how are they doing that? What theaters are playing it? Because I need to be there to try and experience this weird sort of virtual reality, yet panoramic vision that Wesley Snipes is apparently cooking up. So I don't know. Just for the experience alone, I feel like I need to see this movie.
Well, on the upside of things, Bobby, is you live in probably the only city in the United States that's actually going to be able to pull this thing off.
They'll have it available to you.
Right. Like, honest to God, like, on the upside of things, you're probably the only person you and Yash are the only people that are going to have this actually accessible in a way. More so than David and I will, I'm
probably
sure.
Probably the Cinerama Dome or something.
Right.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Jesus.
And it's like, I haven't even gone to any of the theme parks where you can put on the virtual reality glasses while you're riding the roller coaster. But I have to imagine it's something along the lines of like maybe certain scenes being shot to where you can use that have the virtual reality kind of goggles on, and you can see more extension of a scene if you look in a different direction, like something going on that would normally be off camera, but you'll be seeing that aspect of it from that perspective. So I don't know, it just sounds really cool, and I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this story as it develops, just to see what they're really kind of doing here.
Yeah, like it sounds like in a theatrical release, if you get to go to one of those special theaters, you'll get that super wide screen version of it, basically. But then, yeah, maybe once they finally do like a digital release of it and at-home release, like with virtual reality becoming as popular as it is, I mean, even if just using your cell phone for it, like you would be able to watch this special like version, like you just said, where, hey, I could use virtual reality to look around and look at different shit in the scene that I didn't get to see in the theater. And that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally doable because, I mean, Bobby and I even did kind of that kind of stuff at Comic-Con. We went over to Suicide Squad, and I mean, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to do that at home. I'm down with that.
I'm down with it. And hey, a Wesley Snipes movie that's a sci-fi horror film, sure.
Bonus.
I mean, there's also a movie that's happening there.
Let's not forget that.
That nugget of information.
Yeah. Anyway.
Number 7.
So we have wondered about Supergirl and Calista Flockhart if she would be returning to the show since it is moving to the CW and also moving production from Los Angeles to Vancouver. We have found out now that she is, in a way, she will be returning as a recurring guest star, which basically means she will be in the show, but not as often.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much where that is. She'll be in the show, but not as much as she used to be.
I mean, it's cool. Here's the thing. Like, I'm not a hater of Calista Flockhart, but I'm not her biggest fan either, I will say. But in watching her in Supergirl, I've actually kind of started to enjoy Calista Flockhart, as weird as that is. And the dynamic the two of them have, I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with it, because there's a few times where I'm like, wow, this is enjoyable. And there's other times where I feel like they just constantly like throw it in your face and they're just pounding it into the storyline all the time. They're forcing it in there. So to have her just kind of every sporadically pop in, I think is actually it's a good thing for the show moving forward, because I feel like it's been a little too much in sometimes. So yeah, I'm happy she's coming back, but 2, I'm glad she's not coming back as a full-time main character cast member kind of thing. Like, to see her just coming sporadically, I think is actually going to be better between her character and Kara's character as a whole, storyline wise goes to me.
I honestly think that's all you really need from that character, who she is. I mean, you don't need her in there all the time, and I'm not a hater either for Calista Flockhart. I'm not a huge fan either. That being said, she's just kind of there when it comes to this role. I never watched the show that she was in before, and
Ally
I know she
McBeal.
has, thank you, Ally McBeal, and I know that was a huge acclaim show, and that's pretty much where her popularity stems from, or grew from, even to grandeur levels. But I'm just like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. I didn't know she was. I didn't remember reading that she was on the fence about coming back to the show since it was moving. So I'm just kind of like, right, what on? Cool.
Oh, she might not be there? Oh, okay, whatever.
I mean, I was kind of like, if she doesn't come back, it's not the end of the world. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, oh, there were times when their interactions were actually pretty good, and their storyline was kind of starting to develop there towards the end. But there was also times when I felt like it was really forced, because it felt like they had to use her every single episode. Right. So this will be really refreshing. I think they're literally just going to utilize her as necessary. It's actually going to come out, I think, a little bit better in the end. So this is actually really good news to me. She's there, but she's not there full time.
I think my only experience really with her, other than the pilot episode of this show, was The Birdcage. I think it's the only thing I've ever seen her
my
in.
God. And she was like 21 when she did that.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
She might have actually been 19 when she did that. Quite honestly, the chick was literally like underage practically when she did that film.
Man, you keep pushing it down. You're making me feel creepier and creepier.
No, she was really young in The Birdcage.
She was.
God, and she only must have had, like 45 lines?
Oh, yeah, it wasn't much.
If that.
Anyway, I never watched that. Like, maybe it was basically what I was saying. Moving on.
Number 6.
As we know, Harry Potter is kind of getting a little popular again. Not that it lost any of its popularity, but with Harry Potter and the Cursed Child coming to book form from the script of the play, there's been a lot of excitement. Reuters spoke to J.K. Rowling and had asked if this may kind of herald a new phase of stories, mainly about Harry himself, and she insisted no. She went on to say, quote, "He goes on a very big journey during these 2 plays, and then, I think we're done. This is the next generation, So I'm thrilled to see it realized so beautifully, but no, Harry is done now." So basically, the story here is that, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child seems to be the end of Harry Potter's story.
Right.
Has anyone here read it by chance?
No.
Okay.
I bought it. It's
you did?
It's sitting in my
You're giving me a
Kindle.
face like you're almost embarrassed to say that.
No, I really want to read it, but the damn Olympics started.
Oh, God. Fuck Harry Potter. The Olympics are on.
The fucking Olympics started. Well, I can go to read the book whenever I want to. The Olympics, I can't quite. I mean, I got 2 weeks.
It's cool.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I bought it. It's sitting in my Kindle.
No, I want to read it because I've read all the Harry Potter books.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to check it
cool.
out. I enjoyed the Harry Potter books quite a bit.
All.
Yeah, I read them all. Actually, I read them all, I want to say, almost completely while I lived in San Diego that summer.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, somebody I worked with there was a big fan and was just really kind of pushed me to read them, and I was finally like, fine, I'll read them. And because at one point I think I had started the first book, but you know how the first two books are. They're very more child friendly than the other books. So I remember I had started the first book at some point and been kind of turned off to it. And this friend insisted. So I was like, fine, I'll read them all. And I read them all like pretty quickly. They're,
they're pretty fast
even though they
reads.
get longer and longer, they're still pretty fast reads. And
Interesting.
and
they're good though.
I read them all through.
They're written so well.
And ended up reading Deathly Hallows was the only one that I read before the movie had come out. And then I think that kind of ruined my Deathly Hallows experience.
Aww.
But because I enjoyed all the other films so much, and then Deathly Hallows, I was kind of like, oh man, what the fuck is this?
Aww. You know, it's funny.
It was that bad?
No, it wasn't that bad. But I definitely was very negative, like especially on part 2. I was just the way they had changed things with the ending. That I was just like, but I get that it's a movie and that it's different and you're going to change things, but the things you changed, why? I was just kind of so bummed.
Well, it's like I never read the books until after Deathly Hallows came out, both Deathly Hallows. And then I read the books. And here's the crazy part. I actually have not, there was only one book I haven't read, which is Deathly Hallows. I still haven't read it.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually, it's funny because I read the other ones I borrowed and or purchased through Pottermore, and then Deathly Hallows I actually bought hardcover, and it's sitting on a bookshelf, and I still haven't read it. And I think I can't bring myself to like feel those emotions yet. Like, as weird as that sounds, but I mean, as far as Cursed Child goes, I mean, yeah, like it came on sale. You know, the day it came on sale, I was like, buy, click. Like I bought that bad boy up as fast as I possibly could. So it's sitting there. It's ready for me to read. But yeah, these Olympics kind of popped up.
Yeah.
But so this takes place like what? How far in the future? Is it 18 years, 30 something?
After the end of Deathly Hallows, basically. Yeah. I forget. I don't know.
They said
at some point.
But I forget.
I'm reading as fast as I can now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Of course, you didn't put it in the notes.
No, I didn't. Oh, you're looking at the notes. Yeah, it ain't there.
Anyways, so it takes place. I mean, they're middle aged.
Yeah.
Like their kids are already done with Hogwarts at this point, right? Or their kids are finishing Hogwarts.
See, I know very little about it.
I mean, it's far in the future.
No, I know that, but yeah, I don't. Other than that, haven't really been trying to read anything about what's going on until I just read the book itself, which is again really just a script.
Right. No.
You know?
Yeah. Totally.
And I'll probably buy a hard copy. I have a hard copies of all the books right over there. So I'll probably buy a hard copy of it just to have it to go with the collection, but I haven't yet.
So now, did you read Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them?
No.
See, I haven't read that either. And I'm going through a debate right now. Like, do I shove that bad boy in before I see the movie, or do I see the movie and then read it? Because I'm concerned I'm going to have a Deathly Hallows experience the way you're having. And that's my concern. Like, I don't want to go see this and be like, oh, I like the books better. Like, because there's other stuff, you know? And what I like about the whole Harry Potter, world is that it's not just Harry Potter. There's a before and there's going to be an after. And I think it's smart that J.K. Rowling is saying, nope, this is the conclusion of Harry's story, Harry and Hermione and Ron. But we'll see more moving forward, either in the future of them or in the past of this. And I think that's what's kind of the takeaway here. I'm glad that she's saying, we're good. We're all comfortable with them and their storyline. So we're going to adventure out into other areas of, the Hogwarts realm, magical realm. So be it.
But the book of Fantastic Beasts that's out there,
it's not actually. Yes.
It's not the storyline, right?
No, it's not.
That's supposed to be like the textbook.
Right. Now there's the textbook. Now there's also. Okay, never mind.
I mean, we could get into a whole thing about Harry Potter.
We're not getting into a whole Harry Potter thing right now.
I'm just making sure we're clear.
There's a few other books that are out there. So there's like a. Yeah. So there. Okay, so there's a book, and there's the book that there's a book, the textbook he wrote, and anyways.
Okay.
There's also fan fiction out there. There's other things, like, it goes on. My point is from the takeaway of our news headline, gentlemen.
What? What? You were going to say something. Don't
Nope,
stop.
number 5. Let's go.
No. You just completely stopped.
I'm being judged.
You are not.
I'm so being judged.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
So my point is that J.K. Rowling is saying, yep, as far as Harry, Ron, and Hermione goes, this is kind of the conclusion of them, but we will still continue to see more things happening within the wizarding world of Harry Potter and Hogwarts,
Right.
either in the past or in the future, which is excellent news, in my opinion. Moving along.
No, I agree. I enjoyed the books quite a bit. So, like I said, I'll read this book. I'm looking forward to the movie that's coming, and then we're going to get to that a little bit later. But yeah, I love the world, and I love the little area over at Universal too. It's pretty nice. Moving on.
You need to go there.
Yeah, you do.
You do need to go there. I need to go back there.
I haven't had butterbeer in a while. It's pretty tasty.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
When I visit Orlando, we have to go.
Oh,
We should
absolutely.
all do a Harry Potter World date. That would be so magical.
Absolutely.
God.
He's so excited. Michelle's so excited. All right, let's move on.
Number 5.
As we learned at San Diego Comic-Con, the new Star Trek series that's coming to CBS All Access is titled Star Trek Discovery. And in that, we saw a little visual effects piece that revealed the ship, which is the Discovery NCC 1031. Well, Ain't It Cool News was speaking with Brian Fuller, and they had asked him about when exactly this is taking place. There had been some rumors that it might be actually after the events of Star Trek Voyager. By the way it sounds, though, it sounds like that's probably not the case. It's actually kind of the opposite, coming before the original series. When they had asked him about it, he simply said, quote, "There's a big clue in the number of the ship, NCC 1031, that indicates where we're set." And if you're kind of going in numerical order, with the original Enterprise being NCC 1701, it would appear that it's coming before that.
Way the hell before that.
They had also asked him about the possibility that the 3-1 having anything to do with the kind of super secret Black Ops Operation Section 31, which is talked about in Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, and also Star Trek Into Darkness. He went on to say, quote, "There are aspects of our first season that, depending on how well versed you are in that mythology, you could either read into that connection or not." So that's very super vague. But anyway, long story short, it sounds like Star Trek Discovery will take place before the original series. But
It's
on
amazing.
that timeline, obviously not the Kelvin timeline.
Right. Yeah, obviously.
I just think it's amazing how covered in secrecy this show is. It's like you would think it's a Star Wars show or movie.
It is
right?
heavily
I've
veiled.
never seen so much guardedness for a Star Trek property before. And so it takes place before the original series, but where does it take place in relation to Enterprise, the one with Scott Bakula?
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
Is this? It's got to be
I think
after.
it's after
It's got to
that.
be after because that was kind of like the beginnings of the
Right.
whole situation. So it's got to
Right.
be somewhere in the middle. But at the same time, like it's pretty early for that's 700 freaking ships ahead. Like, Jesus.
Well, I hope we learn more about it soon. I mean,
Well, apparently
I'm curious.
we're going to learn a lot more soon. He apparently said that, as we know, the TCAs are going on right now, the Television Critics Association, the summer press tour. And he has said that on August 10th, he is going to, quote, spoiler it up during the Star Trek panel at the TCAs.
Oh, God, that's going to be great.
So keep your eyes out on the internet on August 10th. You'll probably start to learn a lot more about the show then.
I'm super
Awesome.
excited.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited too. And yeah, that show is set to debut. I believe it's like right at the beginning of 2017.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think we talked about it on air before, and we definitely, I know Bobby and I, we've talked about it off air, that it seems crazy that we don't even know casting yet. And this show isn't that far off.
No.
And I mean, this is a fairly effects-driven show. It's not like it's super simple to shoot and create.
Right.
So it seems kind of crazy how soon it's coming and how little we know.
And yet at the same time, I love the fact that I know nothing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I love this.
But I think there's just that part of me is like, is it really going to be out then? Like, are we also at the
sure?
TCA is going to find out? Oh, it's really going to be mid 2017. Like, it seems so soon.
I'd be sat there like, oh, we really meant more like April,
right?
Not January so much, but more April. I'll be like, you sons of mother.
That'll be upsetting. Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Number 4.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels looks like it's getting a remake. This time, it seems to be following the same vein that we're getting a lot with remakes, the gender swapping kind of the routine that we're going with here. It looks like Rebel Wilson will take the lead in the new take of that film, which came out, I believe, in 1988. It'll be about two female scam artists, one low rent, the other high class, compete to swindle a naive tech prodigy out of his fortune. Did you guys like that original movie? And I should say original, but that's really a remake of another movie
Right.
that came out back in the 60s.
Yeah.
But I loved the 80s Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
I did too.
Have you not seen it, Michelle, or you didn't
I
like
haven't
it?
seen it in a long. I think I've even seen it once.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember liking it quite a bit. So.
I'm sure I saw it. And it was probably even like a TV thing where there was commercials. And it was edited down. Like, I mean, it's been. I remember kind of liking it and thinking it was funny, but I couldn't even tell you really what the fuck happened. It's been so long.
Right.
So yeah, that's happening. I have to ask, and I'll ask the female of the group, Michelle.
Oh boy.
Like, so this whole thing with doing remakes and this whole gender swapping thing, like, as a woman, like, how do you feel about it?
As a woman and also kind of as a feminist, how do you feel about it? Okay. Yeah.
You don't have to share your opinion. I'm just curious.
I'll give the quickest I can. So I'm of two minds of the whole situation. Part of me is like, hell yeah, I think it's great. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're reinventing a way to tell a storyline because so many things are so male centric out in the world and everything is mostly based on that. So it's nice to kind of see the viewpoint from a female and to see that, especially like with a story like this, I think maybe not so much popular opinion now, but I think throughout history, females are just inherently good people. We're not capable of being swindlers. We're not capable of being bad people, quote unquote, per se. But when we do these things and then we do remakes like this one's going to show it's kind of refreshing to show that women are capable of different levels of personality traits that I think that sometimes get subdued over. That's my kind of feministic way of saying this thing.
Okay.
The movie critic part of me hates the hell out of this. I hate this. I hate that we're remaking movies and we're just doing it in a feminist way or we're doing it in a female version. And I say that, and mind you, I've not seen the new Ghostbusters yet. So I have no opinion on that. I can give absolutely zero bearing on that film and what it did or did not do. But I never feel, one, I have a hard time with remakes as a whole, but two, to constantly remake something and then go, so you remember that movie that was an all-male cast and that's basically what was happening? Yeah, we're just going to do that, but with chicks. Really? It just seems like kind of a cop-out in a way, or it's kind of like the thing to do right now because that's the hip thing to do right now for some reason, whatever that reason is. I don't really know, but I don't know. I'm very mixed. I'm very mixed. I have zero like arrow directional opinion on this. I have a very mixed array of everything on
I just asked because, from my male perspective, that's how I feel about it. I feel like women should just have more great original stories. And yes. I think it's kind of sad and too bad that instead there seems to be a focus on this gimmicky, let's remake this male movie with chicks now. And women are way better than that. You could just have good original characters and good original stories, and this kind of stuff is just I'm not saying I'm against a female version of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels or any of these movies like Ghostbusters, but I don't know. There's something about this trend that kind of bugs me.
I hate this trend. I hate it. I don't understand why we can't just have movies that are just an original idea that puts women more in the spotlight of things, you know. And the sad part is I feel like there's been a few films that have done that, and I say this, and I'm not trying to be nasty, and I'm not trying to like downgrade Netflix, but they go to Netflix. And they're not like in theaters. Like I just watched Tallulah, and I have a love-hate relationship with this film. But as I'm watching, and like I'm still thinking about it days after watching this film, and I'm like, this is something that could have been put in a small release in more artsy house kind of theaters, and I think it would have been enjoyable, and it would have done pretty decently well, I feel. But instead it was just put on Netflix. And again, I'm not saying anything against Netflix. I love Netflix. I will have Netflix account till the day I die, probably, at this point. But it's just kind of sad that the stronger female things that are happening right now are not happening even in an art house format of films. Like they're just going to an internet based kind of film release, or I don't know. So it's sad, but I wish that they would push harder and push more for that. That would be spectacular.
Well, you guys, I mean, it's only going to get worse, because I read an article the other day that said that due to the success of Stranger Things on Netflix, which is about these kids that like go on this adventure, and it turns out it's like pretty sci-fi heavy and horror elements into it, that the next wave of these types of things are going to be with kids. So they're going to be like having like a kids Ghostbusters film,
reboots that are children centric.
Like,
excellent.
Instead of like The Hangover, it's going to be one that's like the
Go Hollywood.
And then there's like another one which is basically like, instead of the splash, it'll be like The Little Mermaid. So that's coming as well. And I just completely made all that up, but I don't put it past Hollywood to do that.
No, I could totally see all that happening. Look at how popular the Stranger Things is. And not only that, but yeah, just the 80s thing. Not just kids, but like, I mean, there's something special about the 80s feel of that, and like what we've seen in other random movies that have done the 80s thing. But now it's probably going to be a lot of that. And it's
the
terrible.
80s is hot right now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I can totally see someone saying, let's do a Hangover for kids and let's just call it Sleepover, and then we'll just have it. And it's just going to be like those antics, and it's just with kids. So I can totally see.
Didn't they do that with Paper Towns?
Coming. See, I'm sure maybe, but I didn't see Paper Towns, but I'm sure something along those lines will start to come, because they're always trying to figure out a way to repackage and give us back something that we've already had before.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Hollywood.
All right, moving into the top 3.
Number 3.
Looks like there are indeed talks between ABC and Lucasfilm to try to bring a Star Wars show to television on the ABC network, of course. This isn't completely new news. I mean, there's been talks about a Star Wars television show for quite a while. But since the TCA press tour is going on, ABC Entertainment President Channing Dungey, if I'm getting her last name correct, sorry if I'm not, said that indeed there are ongoing talks happening that will hopefully make it a reality, according to her. Quote, as a fan, I would absolutely love to say that yes. And she's talking about the idea that a Star Wars show would end up on ABC. She goes on to say, quote, the conversations with Lucas, we had conversations with them and will continue to have conversations with them. I think it would be wonderful if we could find a way to extend that brand into our programming. If you are hoping for a Star Wars show to appear on ABC, it looks like there's nothing yet, but talks are happening.
It's probably Dungy.
It's probably Dungy. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Her last name.
Her last name.
Her last name.
Go ahead, Yasha. What'd you say? You could care less.
I could care less about this. I think it's just an oversaturation of the market at this point for this type of thing. And I don't know. I have no desire to really watch a show.
Wow.
Sorry.
Strong words. Y'all should come in hot. I don't think he had a comment about the other three items we did, but Star Wars got him lit up. I mean, I'll go ahead and somewhat agree with Yasha in the sense that, in terms of oversaturation, I think had this news come out like 10 years ago, I'd probably been like,
Oh, we would have been bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
we'd have been
now
super
that we have
excited.
the movies again, it's like I don't really think I need to see any Star Wars on TV unless it was done on maybe like an HBO or Netflix and given really high quality special effects and the treatment to where it could be something. Again, I'll go back to it again, the Old Republic, where it can be something that doesn't bump up against and touch the stuff that's currently happening because it's thousands of years ago. So it could be told and done in a really good way. But barring that, I mean, I don't trust ABC to do it well. And that's the bottom line, what it comes down to. Just don't trust them to do it well. So I would rather not see that happen.
Yeah, and I agree too. I agree with Yasha's sentiment that it's just oversaturation. I mean, we're getting a movie every year, and I don't really need a TV show. And you also and I should point out that the Entertainment Weekly article that this news comes from points this out as well, that in the Star Wars world we expect a certain level of production quality, that to make a TV show version of some Star Wars story, you're going to have to make it probably some small little stories to not have to need too many effects and too high of a production quality that you just don't get with a television show in order for it to fit well in that universe. And then what is the story going to be about? And just, I don't know. I don't really need it right now because I'm super happy with what we're getting. We've only had one movie so far, but we're getting plenty. If we're going to get one movie a year, I'm good with that. I don't need a TV show as well to add to it.
What is the show really going to add? Like nothing. I don't think that a show could add absolutely anything to what we're already getting.
Right.
Not a thing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Moving on.
Number 2.
We were talking about Fantastic Beasts and where to find them earlier. I think we've always pretty much known that this looks like it's going to be a trilogy. It's been officially announced that indeed a second film will be coming on November 16th, 2018, and director David Yates will be back to direct that film. That's happening. This is according to the Hollywood Reporter.
That's cool with me.
It's cool with me.
I mean, I like David Yates and what he did with the movies, so
yeah,
I can't imagine him screwing, this up. Fantastic Beasts. I'm looking forward to it.
I will say I'm surprised there's going to be 3 films. I was looking for just a part 1 and part 2, quite honestly.
I mean, it's always. Yeah. I think it's been the understanding to be a trilogy, but I could be wrong with that.
I haven't paid that much attention because a lot of what's happening is I'm trying to not pay that much attention because I want to go in and just enjoy it.
Right.
But I mean, 3 movies is great. Yeah, it's awesome, and yeah, Yates is in it. I'm down. Like, no question. This is all good news.
Definitely liked his take on the last few films of Harry Potter. So yeah, I'm all for it as well. We haven't seen Fantastic Beasts or Where to Find Them, the first one yet, but
I'm so excited.
Yes,
I'm so excited.
Same here.
There's like a small part of me though that's kind of like, oh, Warner Brothers, look at you putting the cart before the horse. I mean, because I fully expect that this movie will do well, but then there's that little part of me that's just like, like how well will it do? I am curious because it's not specifically Harry Potter. It's just within the world, and I know that people love the world, but I'm curious just to see the numbers on this one. I'm sure it'll warrant doing a sequel, but just where will it land in terms of how people will react after they see it? Will they really want more, or will they be like, I liked it and I'm kind of good here, but I don't need more? Or will they be like, yes, give me more, I need it now?
If he can somehow continue the success of like how he felt like after seeing the last few Harry Potters and stuff like that, I mean, when they released that first full trailer, and I still was very unfamiliar with the product and didn't know much about it and still reading about it. When I saw the first product, I was like, it felt like Harry Potter. It had the tone of Harry Potter. Everything about it was something that I was very familiar with and that I loved and actually missed. So if they can continue that, if he can continue that in this next film and the fun of the last, the film, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge because everybody's going to want to see and feel that again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not surprised that Warner Brothers is like pining or trying to get J.K. Rowling to like do another Harry Potter, please.
Right.
Like we'll pay you whatever you want. Like, just do another one.
Do you guys remember the last movie David Yates directed?
Tarzan.
Yeah. Did you guys like that one?
I did. Michelle did not, but I liked it.
I did too. So he's still got a good track record with me in terms of his movies that he's directed. So I was just curious if you guys had liked the last one, because I know we were just speaking upon his Harry Potter stuff, but he did just direct one recently, and I couldn't remember where everyone fell.
Yeah, The Legend of Tarzan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we talked about that. I wrote.
We did. I just can't remember where everyone fell down on.
I thought it was great. Like, it was really good.
I mean, in the ratio of what he's done to what I've liked, it's definitely higher in what I've liked. I mean, that was like the first miss for me, but.
And I mean, yeah, like I just said earlier, I mean, sure, of the Harry Potter movies, Deathly Hallows was my least favorite for his stuff, but with that said, I still love what he did with that franchise and his take on it and the feel of it. And I'm more than happy to see, another. But at the same time, kind of like, you talk about Warner Brothers, Bobby, and feeling a little wary about the cart before the horse. And, I am always still wary, too, of like, you got a good director and they make a good film, but just because they made a great film doesn't necessarily mean that they need to make more, because then you start to feel like the director gets a little bored with it, maybe complacent, like it's just like, hey, I enjoyed Man of Steel, but did we need to see Batman vs Superman directed by Zack Snyder? I kind of wish they had picked a different director, and that's why I'm glad that Star Wars is going with a different director on the next film and not J.J. Abrams, as great as Force Awakens was. But so yeah, I don't know. But at the same time, with that said, I liked everything David Yates did. So hopefully this isn't any different. I hope. We'll see.
I mean, if I were to base my opinion off the trailers and what I've seen so far, yeah, I think we're not going to be disappointed. I mean...
Right. But as we know, how trailers can be cut,
I know, but visually it looks...
Right. It does. It looks
stunning as hell.
It looks good. Hopefully it's as good as it looks like it's going to be.
And if not, I will still have my wand from Comic-Con.
Exactly. We'll still have our wands that we finally got. Even if we were one of the last people to get ours. All the people around us freaking out that, it's our wands. It's pretty entertaining.
Aww.
It was pretty funny, actually, yeah.
I'm still kind of jealous.
Sorry. God, why'd you have to bring that up, Bobby?
Well, because I'm not in the room with Michelle to see the look.
All right, moving to number one. Talking about remakes. Bobby, you've mentioned that you are a big fan of Splash.
I am. I love that movie. I remember being just a kid and watching that movie every single time it pop up on HBO. And part of the reason is probably because I was going through puberty, and Daryl Hannah was pretty hot to me back then. So I think I watched it many, many times trying to... because she was
kind of what?
I was like, you should stop that sentence now.
Where are you going with this?
Before you continue.
So beyond that, I mean, I just really thought the movie was fun, and Tom Hanks was so much at his peak back then when it came to comedy, and just like John Candy being in there. I mean, it was just it's a classic. It's a real timeless classic, and I thought the way they handled it, and even the way the effects of the practical effects of the way they did her as a mermaid was really cool. And if I remember right, that's Ron Howard directed, right?
Ron Howard, and I think that was really the kind of one of the first films, if not the first one, that Ron Howard and Brian Grazer worked together on.
Right.
Also one of the first major pictures for Tom Hanks.
I think it kind of put Tom Hanks on the map, really.
And now they do those other movies, the Inferno and the those
all the Robert Landon stuff.
The David Brown.
Dan Brown.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, no, I just really loved that movie as a kid. And when I heard that they were making a remake, I was sort of intrigued because it was still Brian Grazer was going to be doing some producing for it. And obviously, like you just mentioned, he was a part of the first one. So it was like, okay, well, let's see what they have in mind. And then we kind of bump up against the actual news story, which is...
Well,
Bobby, what is the premise of this new film?
Yeah.
Why don't you enlighten us?
So it would appear in this version, has been the topic of today, we want to do a little role reversal and not just go with the old tired and true story that we all know, and let's mix it up for today's standards. So in this instance, we would have the mermaid not being a mermaid, but being apparently possibly a merman played by Channing Tatum. And then the Tom Hanks role being played by Jillian Bell Starr. So I do like her now. So I think she's very funny and she has this very deadpan delivery that I find very charming. That it makes me laugh, especially when she was in, what was that, 22 Jump Street?
Yeah, 22 Jump Street.
Like her in that. But I mean, just the idea that they had to sort of switch it around to making Channing Tatum the merman. I don't know. I don't know if it's that so much as that it's Channing Tatum that I don't like the idea of, or if it's just the fact that they're making it into a merman instead of a mermaid. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I just know I'm not really on board yet with this. I don't quite like it.
That's your nice way of saying it. I don't quite like it.
He's holding back. You can tell. There's a lot of emotion there.
No, it's not. It's almost not that I'm holding back. It's just that I really truly haven't sorted out my feelings about it, because I know Channing Tatum can be funny, and as I mentioned, I think Jillian Bell Starr is funny, but until I see it, like, I won't really know for sure how I feel about it. I just know on paper and premise, the fact that they're changing it around, I don't like. But beyond that, I can't hate on it just yet. I haven't seen anything for it yet.
Do you have a little feeling of twinge in your heart when you heard this? Like, did it kind of hurt a little bit? Like, did your chest cavity kind of go, oh, that hurts?
Look, I'm not gonna lie. There's a small part of me that was hoping that, I can't remember the actress's name, but the one that's in that David likes as well. That's in the San Andreas movie as the Rock's daughter.
Oh, Daddario.
I was hoping that maybe we'd get one with her being the mermaid, and that would be a thing. But so sadly, that's not to be, and now we've got a bare-chested man to look at. So I guess, yes.
Luckily, I had never considered that idea. Then I would have been really crushed.
There was a slight twinkle to your eye for a hot second just now.
I sat here as Bobby described that. I was thinking, oh my God, that would be amazing.
You should have seen the face. Like, it was magical. Like, I was sitting here watching it going, as soon as I said Dario, the light bulb went over his head, and I saw this light twinkle in his eye.
I mean, that would have been pretty great.
It would have been beyond great.
Oh, boy.
We gotta get video running back up in this bad boy. This is amazing.
Sorry, what did you say?
I mean, I've said my piece. What do you guys think about it?
I'll say that my first reaction to this news was more about the gender swap part of it. I'm just like, oh God, really? Now it's more, I gotta say, the Channing Tatum thing. And I'm not a Channing Tatum hater. I actually like the guy, and I like him in a lot of his roles. But there's something about this that I feel like by having Channing Tatum in it, it's going to seem a little sillier than it needs to be. And I can imagine a lot of other guys being in this role, even a guy that we don't know, like say, first time kind of star, some really hot guy in this that no one really knows, but, an actress that we know, and it being much more interesting. And the Channing Tatum aspect of it is, I think, the part that bugs me the most. And again, I say that from a perspective that I don't dislike him. I like Channing Tatum. And I think he can be a good actor and an entertaining actor, but I don't know. Something about that bugs me.
It's one of those things, I think that it's going to be just him shirtless almost the entire film.
Yeah.
And while I do not mind looking at that physique, and I say that with all sincerity, at the same time, yeah, it's too much. It's over the top. Like you said, it's almost silly. Like it's an over-exaggeration of what the character should be embodying physically, I would say. So, yeah, it's a bit much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm over the whole, if you're going to do a remake, just own the remake. Like, and again, we're going to do a remake, but it's all female cast. Or we're going to do the remake and we're going to reverse the sexual gender of the roles. Just do the damn remake. Like, just own it. Like, it's like they have to have almost a reason for doing it over. And they're like, well, we're changing it. I'm like, no, you don't have to change it. If you want to do the remake, just do the remake. I don't know. I have a lot of issues with remakes lately. It's a sore subject with me, apparently.
It sounded like you were going to say something, Yasha? Or are you good?
Oh, no, I was just kind of agreeing with Michelle. Like, I'm just, just own the remake. Just say that you're doing the remake. Don't try to reinvent the wheel with doing the remake, because it just sounds stupid when you do.
Right.
Like, it's like, oh, hey, we're going to do this, but it's going to be different. We're going to have this wheel, but it's going to go counterclockwise, which is a new idea that we're going to be trying to force on you. It's just like, don't try and reinvent the wheel. I'm not a huge fan. I'm with Bobby, too. It's like, I could care less about this remake. I'm not really on board with it. And I like Channing Tatum. I like the girl that's in it. What's her name? Belle.
Jillian Bell.
Yeah, I thought she was really funny in just about everything. I've seen her in a couple of other things as well, in addition to 22 Jump Street. And she's always pretty funny. But I just have no real desire to see a remake of this movie. Like, this is something that, was kind of classic when I was a kid, too. And not because I was going through puberty, but I was, like, enamored with the idea of, like, a mermaid, and then, the special effects that they did to try and make it look so real.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, this is really neat. It's just like, I mean, it's like 8, it's like, I just thought it was the coolest thing. So it's like, do we need to have this new retelling and reimagining of Splash, and it's going to be so much better? No, because you have Eugene Levy, you have Tom Hanks, you have John Candy, you have these great comedic performers, and Tom Hanks is amazing when he does comedic roles. And I think Channing Tatum does comedy really well. So does Jillian Bell. Do we need them to do this movie? No, there are other stories out there that they could probably do, but they're just going with like what they feel is the hot hand, and these actors, or Channing Tatum is really hot right now, and that's why they're doing it. I think, we're just going to watch him walk around without his shirt, like acting like a dumbass, and I don't think that's necessarily what we need to see.
Alrighty then. Well, with that, we are going to get it out of here. Make sure to check out episode number 181 of the podcast. We'll be reviewing Suicide Squad, so look out for that. And as always, we'd love to know what you thought of everything we talked about today. You can let us know by emailing us at feedback@flickereffect.com. And you can also find us on voicemail line if you'd like to leave us a voicemail, and we may read your question or comment on the air. You can call us at 407-308-5509. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.